Alright, so we're
Jaya,
gonna cook
hey,
risotto,
Jaya.
arancini. I like to Yes.
His name is John Paul Carmona. Let's welcome him.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Chef, what are we going to cook today?
We're going to make 3 simple things that when we were creating this menu, we thought we'd do something that you can make at home. It should be exciting, but it won't be anything that will be completely impossible, like some recipes that you'll find in certain magazines or books. So the first thing we're going to make is a light snack that you can make into a bigger dish or serve as an appetizer at a party, pass them around. It's crispy risotto cakes with lime pickle mayo. The next thing will be a red snapper that will steam slowly with white asparagus and sabayon with a little bit of chili in it and coriander.
Yeah, some fancy words, but everyone can do it, right? I mean,
We'll explain later. We'll explain everything later.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last thing would be a very simple dessert, an almond milk panna cotta with nice apricot compote. All right.
So, obviously, you all have these packets in front of you. I encourage you to take a look at the screen every now and again and not get stuck in the paper, because really the gold of this whole thing is the interaction with this really talented guy. What's so cool about this menu, I think, is that you can take a lot of the pieces and sort of fit them to your own preferences and maybe your own meals at home. So you don't necessarily need to replicate everything, but certainly if you can walk away with a couple great ideas or a couple cool techniques, then it's worth it for you. So should we get started then with our first dish?
So the first dish, you're actually learning 2 recipes. One of them is very valuable. It's a risotto, which I'm sure everyone knows risotto. And a lot of people like it, but a lot of people don't know how to make it. And it's actually really simple. I think there's a lot of fears that go with risotto, but cooking time, overcooking it, or just the fact that it's foreign.
Yeah, it frightens me.
Yeah. But it's very delicious, and it sounds complex. It's a foreign word. But it's very easy. So the base of pretty much every risotto is onions and garlic or some flavoring agent.
So essentially, rice doesn't have much flavor.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're gonna put some other flavors in there. What kind of liquid are you gonna use?
For this one, we're gonna keep it vegetarian. We're gonna use vegetable stock, but the main flavoring is saffron. I love saffron. It's we're not using other than garlic and onions. Saffron's gonna be the main flavoring, and Parmesan cheese just to make it a little bit better. But saffron's very aromatic. You don't need that much, and once you taste it, you'll know that it's pretty delicious.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions at any time, just yell it out. Okay, feel free to. Anything confuses you or you want to know a little bit more, he's a pretty open guy. Okay, he's not the easiest to work for. Okay, but he's a pretty open guy. So if they didn't want to make veg stock, is there anything that they could do? Is there? I mean, are there any store-bought products you could use? Juices?
You can. Obviously, veg stock, if you buy it, it's probably more expensive than making it. If you use it a lot, you can save a lot of your trimmings or a lot of vegetables that you don't use at home, and just make a really clean stock with water and vegetables and herbs. I really like root vegetables, and like carrots, rutabaga, turnips. Those give it a really nice, more complex, like bitter and sweet flavors. But obviously, if you don't have those around, green leafy vegetables, kale, Swiss chard, anything that you have extra of, you can use. Okay? And it's a nice base. You don't always have to use chicken stock. A lot of soups and recipes that call for chicken stock, but obviously if you're a vegetarian, you don't want that.
Right.
And it's much cheaper to make vegetable stock.
Cool.
So, diced onion and garlic, and we're gonna heat up. Oh, here I have the rice. A little bit of oil.
Can you tell us just a little bit about this rice, Chef?
This is arborio. It's short grain rice, which is very important for making risotto. because of the starches. If you have a long grain rice, usually does not have that much starch or less starch. And that's what makes a risotto, the starch. It makes it creamy. Excuse me, turn this down.
Smelling good.
It makes it really creamy. And I'm going to show you that the main thing, you want that starch to come out. With some rices, you don't move the rice when you're cooking it. You let it sit in the pan so that the starch doesn't come out and it makes the rice very sticky. But for the risotto, you definitely want the stickiness. You want the starch to come out and give it a really velvety texture. So we're going to really cook this down really slow. You don't really want color. Although if you like the taste of toasted garlic, you can obviously toast it.
So I mean, are there any hard and fast rules, or can you pretty much do whatever you want when you're cooking at home?
I think you can do whatever you want.
Does everyone actually have to listen to you?
No.
Okay.
No. I think cooking, I mean, the more you go from one restaurant to the other, you understand that cooking is about perspective. It's about learning a chef's opinions pretty much about food. I don't think there's any set rules. Obviously, there's standards that I think we'll abide to.
Right.
But rules, I think you could tailor them to whatever you like or don't like. If not, you're going to be following recipes that someone else likes, but you or your family may not really appreciate.
Right. So you're cooking out the texture in the onions and garlic, or are you bringing out the sweetness? What are you doing here?
We're bringing out the sweetness. We're making them softer. Once you cook the rice and you finish the risotto, you don't really want to bite into a big piece of raw onion. So you want to do it slow. This is going to release the water from the vegetables and really cook it down. Bring out the sweetness and the flavor of the garlic without making it. If you toast it, obviously it's going to be a lot more strong. But like I said, if you like that, go ahead. So this is, you can focus on this. You can focus on this. It's a lot lighter. Everyone can see it. It's a lot lighter. It's translucent, so it's cooked. Now it's time for the rice. I like to toss the rice with the oil. And I don't know if you can hear it. There's like a slight crackle. And that will give it a little bit more flavor. It's going to toast the rice slightly.
Now, I don't know, but I think you follow a similar step when you're making basmati rice. Is that correct? You toast the rice? No? Okay. That's why I said I don't know, because it's obviously not correct.
All right. So now the main flavoring agent, the saffron. Look at this. Yeah.
This one?
Nice pinch. It's always better. Saffron, you can either
Yeah, we need it.
let it come out in oil or stock. In this case, we're doing both. A little bit of oil in this, so the flavor is going to come out, the color is going to come out. And once you start adding the liquid, even more is going to come out.
Are there different qualities of saffron?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think in India that is a problem because it's so plentiful and not expensive. But at least in California, the restaurant we were, I think we paid about $60 for an ounce. So it's a lot more expensive than here, and you also have to watch what you get. A lot of times there's saffron powder, which most of the time it's a little bit of saffron and turmeric. But yeah, there's. I think the closer you get to the inside of the flour, the better it is. Okay. So that's what I've been told.
Okay. So I think we can all agree that Indian saffron is the best. Is that correct?
I'm going to deglaze with white wine.
Wow. What's deglazing?
Deglazing, it's a term that you use in mostly stocks. You're building flavor. When you sell a pan, like right here, there's a little bit of browning. In stocks, it's great. You brown that, and then you take out all that flavor that's caramelizing on the outside, and you add a liquid to it. That creates more flavor. And with stocks, well, pretty much like this, you can do that several times. So you're going to let it dry up, and then you add more stock to it.
No, it's a term they're using a lot in this show called Masterchef. You don't have it in America, I don't think. But, no, I was just curious.
I'm sure we have a lot of things similar to it. Does everyone here cook at home? No?
Yeah? Or you will be after today.
But you guys like to watch cooking shows. Pretty popular now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Junior Masterchef. These guys are way better than I am.
And that's when you want to add your stock. In this case, vegetable stock. So risotto, you don't, like most rice, you don't add all the stock at once. You add it in increments.
Why not?
Well, you want to develop that starch, which I talked about in the beginning. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. So here, after you add the stock, you really want to turn it a lot. You know, so the starch becomes soluble in the warm liquid, and it's released right now. If I were to let it sit, you could almost make a paella, pretty much. And a paella is in between, let's say, a biryani, which is, you know, you don't move the rice, it's dry. And a risotto. So it's viscous, it's not totally dry. With a risotto, you want it to be viscous. And hence the different types of rice that you use. Longer grain, usually drier rice, and short grain is a more viscous, thicker rice. Yes and no. Most people will tell you that you should have this simmering. This is actually warm right now. You don't want it to be cold just because it's going to slow down the whole cooking process. So it's going to make this pot cold, and then you have to bring it back up, so it's going to take longer. So it's better to have it at least room temperature. And most restaurants will have a stove with 6 burners or even more burners. And there's different things that can be going at the same time. I know at home it might be similar to what we have right now, so you don't have the ability to have 2 things boiling or 3 things boiling at the same time. Just it matters to your taste. We usually prefer using white onions because it's a base flavor. Red onions are obviously a lot sweeter. And you also, let's say this, if you had red onions, it would maybe make it look a little bit pink. You know? If you like red onions, use red onions. You can use leeks, shallots. So again, a little bit evaporated, I'm going to add more. And usually just add enough to cover it.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by risotto because there's this myth that it takes forever.